is the Ask Sessions, and we're here to talk music and mental health with Hannah Richardson from Cherem, an incredible band,
Hi.
and Safe and Sound.
Woo!
What's the crack, Hannah? How you doing?
Oh, good. How are you?
I'm grand. I've got my speaking about music and mental health. My mental health has improved dramatically by the dog that I'm petting right now.
My mental health is also improved by the dog just being present. I feel like
Yes,
it's important to have a dog.
big time. So you work in music, like, I've seen your band play. You've been playing for a couple of years now. Talk to me about Safe and Sound.
So Safe and Sound is a collective of women aimed to give a platform and provide opportunities for underrepresented voices and minority groups working in the music sector in Northern Ireland. So we've kind of been together now for about, I'd say it would be a year, and we've basically just been putting together some wee workshops and webinars and things like that. Like we've got like a Let's Talk About Abuse webinar coming up, just which kind of was a response to the many allegations and stuff that came about this time last year, which we think is important to address as a sector. And yeah, it's been going really, really well, and I'm so glad to be a part of it.
Yeah, no, and it's great that you're doing it, and it's great, and like, sort of like positivity moving forward, and trying to make Northern Ireland and the music industry here a more inclusive and more fairly represented place. One of the things that we like, we're talking about today is mental health, and it's something that, like, up until about, I can remember, up until about probably about 5 years ago, wasn't really something that was mentioned at all. It was something that swept a lot under the carpet. What way do you see, like, mental health problems with artists and musicians? What are the common traits that you notice?
I think it's really difficult for musicians, just because if you're working in the live music industry especially, you're always surrounded by a lot of the gigs that we play are in bars and stuff like that. So there's like, you're exposed all the time to alcohol, which can be difficult. You're on the road all the time. You're not doing, your normal standard 9 to 5 job. And it's really, really difficult. And I think even with us as Cherem, we're going on tour in October, and it'll be our first proper, tour in the UK and stuff like that. So like, we plan everything. I feel like planning is like so important, especially for being on the road and musicians, and as far as like minding your own head goes and stuff. Plan everything. I'm not even joking. Like, we're looking at, we were talking about like how we're gonna like be properly like looking after ourselves and stuff when we're on tour. And like, we were talking to the girls, and like, even like having like 2 hours every day of like me time. So like, our tour is kind of like all over the place. It's like we're zigzagging a lot, like all over the country, which is like going to be a nightmare. So we're going to be spending like 80% of our time in the van. And like, we've like worked out a schedule where like we have like 2 hours of every day, like of me time. So for that like 2 hours, like nobody else in the van is allowed to talk to you. Do you know what I mean? So that's just your me time. You can just, listen to your music. You can like just do whatever, and nobody can speak to you because that's your me time. Do you know what I mean? So, and I think that's really important. Do you know what I mean? Like, having that like arrangement with your band and stuff like that is super good, because it means that we're all looking out for each other as well. But yeah, I think things like that are really, really important, just for minding your head. And I plan everything.
What about advice on like how to balance life, work, music? Like, it can be, I think one of the big problems with music and mental health is that it's not like a normal job. You're invested in it very personally, because you're putting yourself out there creatively,
Yeah, of course.
and putting your own stories out there. But how do you balance that with work and life? Like, there's so many things that you have to
Yeah,
squeeze into a day.
exactly. It's really difficult. Yeah, like I'm a mummy as well. Like, not a lot of people like know as well. And then I'd be doing that, and then I'm doing like the band stuff, and I'm trying to work like a part-time job and stuff, and it can be really, really difficult. I think like whenever Cherem started, we were all teenagers. We were all like 17, 18, and I wouldn't necessarily say that like my priorities and my responsibilities have changed since then, because like, you know, I've been a mom from I was 17, like I was really, really young. But my outlook on how to manage things has definitely changed. Like whenever we first started, we would have never, you know, said no to a gig. We would have never like turned anything down. We would have drove halfway across the country to play a show to like two people for like no money. And that is just not feasible whenever you have a life as well. And I think like, you know, even the girls as well, like we kind of have to work the gigs around each other too. Do you know what I mean? So it's not just like my life that we have to worry about in the band, it's the other two girls as well.
Mhm.
And you know, like, are they going to be working that day? Have they got something on? And we just try our best just to plan as much as we can in advance. But definitely now, like I think we're all at the stage where we're like, you know, if something comes up and it's just not feasible and we just can't do it, it's okay to say no. And I think that that's really important for like musicians to sort of understand that like you don't have to do those gigs if you don't want to. Like that is I think that's probably like one of the most important like messages like in the music industry. Like you don't have to do the gigs that you don't want to do if you don't want to do them. Do you know what I mean? Because we feel like we have to, and we feel like it's like, you know, this kind of big dog eat dog world, and it's like very competitive and stuff, and if you miss out on that, then you know you might not get the next thing. But that's really not the case. You know what I mean? Like stay at home and write a song, like do you know what I mean? Like you could be spending that time playing the shit gigs, staying home and writing a lethal song, so do that instead.
What advice, like, sorry, what help is out there for people who might be having a little bit of difficulty with their mental health in music? Is there places to turn? Are there people to talk to?
Definitely. Well, of course, like, you know, I would advise everybody just to come to Safe and Sound as well and look at like a lot of the workshops and opportunities that we have coming up. The other one is help musicians as well. And I know that they've got, you know, a 24-hour like hotline, like number that you can ring if you're experiencing, you know, depressive episodes and stuff like that. And I think that's really good because it is aimed towards people working within the music sector. So they're sort of used to, you know, listening to people who they understand where the position that you're coming from. Because like I always find that like really daunting, like if you're talking to somebody about, you know, oh like, and you know, I just feel like talking to like a mental health professional that maybe doesn't work within the music industry can sometimes be really daunting, because it's like, oh, my band aren't doing this or whatever, and it's like, you know, sometimes they might be looking at you like you've two heads, you know what I mean? But help musicians, definitely would reach out to them. Yeah.
Like one of the things I always thought was great about your band was that, like, you know, you kind of built a community around the band, and you got plugged into your own part of the scene. Like you kind of made your own part of the scene, really. What advice is there for somebody who might be out there maybe playing guitar or DJing or rapping or something, and they want to get plugged into the scene, or they want to get involved in the community? What tips have you got for them?
I would just say, you know, reach out to as many different bands and artists as you can. You know, find your place, find where you belong. Like I suppose, like, you know, you have to kind of look at like the bands that you sound like, and look at the bands that you think that you're like and stuff. And that, like, 9 times out of 10, that's sort of where you belong. Like that's kind of your wee, that could be your wee scene, you know. And like, you know, stop looking at like other bands like they're your competition, because in reality, you know, that's going to be your way in, is, you know, through other bands, and support each other, because that is like so important. And go to gigs, like, you know, don't like take that as, you know, like that's just a thing that you do in your spare time. Like go to gigs and network, and meet new people, and talk to promoters, and you know, don't be afraid of doing anything. I suppose like whenever we were starting as well, like we never had any fear, and I like of talking to like new people, and like
I know
we
that.
always had like, I know you probably do,
Experienced it many times.
literally. But like we used to go to like gigs and stuff, and we had like a rule, like it was like almost like a game in our band that was like, go to, you know, go to Limerick or go to Dublin or go to Glasgow and make 5 new best friends, you know. So every gig that we went to, we would go and like try and make 5 new best friends at every gig. And that would essentially be, you know, the people that are going to, like a promoter, somebody that's going to get you another gig in future, people that are going to come to your gigs the next time that you play there, you know, things like that. So I 5 new best friend rule, highly recommend.
Savage advice. I love it. Hannah, thank you for taking the time out to chat this. Where can people find out more about Safe and Sound?
So we are on Instagram at Safe and Sound NI. We're on Twitter at Safe and Sound NI, and you can find us on Facebook at Safe and Sound.
And Cherem at Cherem at Cherem at Cherem.
Yeah, well, it's Cherem official, but same
Cherem
thing.
official. Got it. Anna, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Philly.